into chat box. I will bring them up during the presentation and we will also have time for questions at the time. Now I request our principal ma'am Dr. Swati Sharma to welcome our today's speaker. Please ma'am, over to you.
Good morning to all the members presented in today's webinar. I, Dr. Swati Sharma, Principal Raj Engineering College, welcomes you all at the national webinar on the topic Overview on Robotics and Industrial Automation. Today we are having Dr. Bhavin Shah with us to share his knowledge on this topic. Let me introduce Mr. Bhavin. First of all, Dr. Bhavin is working as head of the Department of Electronics Engineering at Atharva College of Engineering, Mumbai. He is having 9 years of teaching experience, 5 years of industry experience. He has published 29 papers in international journals, 9 papers in international conferences. His expertise includes robotics, automation, microprocessor, circuit theory, network, etc. He is working as an coordinator and team member of Atharva Robotics Center, ARIIA coordinator, and team member of Atharva iCell. He and his team secured second rank in the Global Entrepreneurship Exchange Idea Pitch Contest, USA, and IUCEE connected activity. Recently, he has been selected as an Innovation Ambassador of IIC Ministry of Education, Innovation Cell of IIC Calendar Year 2020-21. I hereby invite Dr. Bhavin to share his knowledge with us.
Thank you
Welcome,
so
Bhavin
much.
sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Swati Madam, and for such a nice introduction, and Professor Dharmendra Solanki sir, and all the coordinators, and all my dear participants. A very warm welcome to all of you for today's webinar on robotics and industrial automation. Before I start with the presentations, just general guidelines. The webinar would be inclusive of the AVs. So it's a kind request to all the participants to stay patient. It may happen that because of the low bandwidth connectivity at the user's end, it may happen that the videos may lag in between. So please be patient enough. For better understanding, I am connected via two machines so that if any problems occurs, it would be known to me at the immediate moment and would be rectified. Also, it's a humble request from my end to all the participants to please keep their self mute and their videos off. Please follow code of conduct for the online sessions. And in case you have any questions, queries, you may please use the option raise hands, or you may even type your questions in the chat box during or post sessions. This is all from my end. We are now good to start with the presentation. Uh, I'll just share my screen with you all. Please give me a moment. So we now begin with the webinar on robotics and industrial automation. Uh, these are the brief ideas of the topics that we'll be covering during the session. We'll be going through what is robotics, the types of robots, the now humanoid robot, the sandbot hospitality and service robot, unmanned aerial vehicles, and finally towards Industry 4.0. So before we begin, I would just like to know what is AI. There's a buzz going on around on the name of AI, artificial intelligence. And what is artificial intelligence? The term sounds to be very exciting. AI, AI. AI. Every second person will come AI. But most of us does not know that AI was something which was pre-existing with us, and we do not have that knowledge about that what we were using it, and we had just termed it as a too fascinating word, that is AI, that is artificial intelligence. There's a buzz going on around globally on the name of AI, machine learning, big data, and whatnot. But it has all existed from pre-existing systems. And when we talk about robotics and industrial automations, we could not skip around without having the knowledge of AI. So now what is AI? Artificial plus intelligence gives you the fascinating term AI. What is intelligence then? The intelligence that we know is the capacity to learn and solve problems. When we talk about artificial intelligence, it's the stimulation of human intelligence by machines to solve problems, act rationally, and act like humans. But how is it possible? Let me take a very good real-time examples which we as a student enjoyed every bit of it. In a class, we have multiple talents available with us, few ranging from the categories, let me be more specific towards it. Some are on the extreme high level, some are on the other end of it. So if I fairly categorize that system into three equal parts. One, there is a student who is good in his academics and extracurricular, category A. Category B, average students who manages his work, fair enough. And the last category, there is the category C, whom we need extra trainings to be given, or maybe is somewhat not incompetent with the average and the category A students. Now, what happens? Fair enough around it. When we talk about artificial intelligence, as I told you, it is nothing new. It was something which was already there with us, but we were not able to term it out for a long period of time. Whenever we design a system which is able to react on what we input it out automatically, has that capacity which is termed together with the fascinating word artificial intelligence. And how is this possible? It is only possible because of the data sets that we teach them, we make them to learn, and based on that data sets, they may appropriately choose the best to output the optimum result of what we have inputted. For which I would like you to take you to this example again back to the class which we were discussing. Now, we as an engineer has enjoyed one thing in common, and to very far extent this is much true to all the engineers. Maybe on the platform someone agrees, someone disagrees, but yes, we all have done this, and we all agree majorly to this point that our original studies starts just 4 days or 5 days before the examination. This is the bitter truth, but we as an engineer all know, or maybe not, I put it as an engineer, we as a student all have been very much know the importance of last 5 days or 4 days prior to examination. Because it's a say that actual studies begin just 4 or 5 days prior to the examination. A disclaimer, this does not apply to all categories. That is why we have categorized the class into A, B and C. So now, majorly category C's mostly falls under this class, category B to some extent, category A is nowhere in this group. Let me now go to category C class first. Now category C class starts its learning just 4 days prior to the examination. So the data sets that it will generate would be just on the basis of the LMR, that is we used to call the fascinating term last minute revision. That means what he has learned, he or she has learned, would be sufficient enough for him or her to just pass the examination. Let us go to category B. There may be some class wherein they have started their studies just 15 days prior. That means they are getting 10 days more in the hand. Although they were nowhere in the whole semester loop, but if we talk about 10 to 15 days, they are there with us. So at least category B's data set that would be generated would be fairly enough, good enough as compared to category C. That means the data sets that category B would have would be optimum enough in comparison to category C to give more precise output, and of course the score of the exams would be more. And then we come to category A, the daily learners. Now this is a category which has learned apart from the notes, extra articles, reference materials, and whatnot. So now, if I compare category B and C with category A, the data sets available with category A that he has learned through classroom lectures, blended learning, visual interactions, and whatnot would be more precise enough compared to category B and C. And as a professor, if you ask a question to category A, B, and C, fairly enough that you are sure enough that category A would give you the most precise answer or towards the most precise answer, because the data sets that he has learned is more. Now, why I took you towards the classroom teaching? Because this is all where it starts. Artificial intelligence is directly connected to the classroom teaching. When you design any robotic or automation system, the more you teach your machines the data, the more precise the output would be, and the capacity and the capability of the system to output towards the more preciseness. And this is what is nothing but artificial intelligence. Hope I was been able to give you good insights onto the artificial intelligence. May I now proceed towards the next slide, that is what is robotics. The term robotics is very much famous nowadays. We are talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat. Now, my dear friends, just few years back we were talking about Skill India development. Now, all these things is not possible without robotics or automation in the manufacturing industries. Now, there is a quite some myth in the market that if the robotic systems will come, then the labor would, the requirement of the labors would be less. It would affect the employment sectors of the labor class peoples. But this is, let me put around like the other way around, that it is not true enough. The reason being is it would not affect the labor class, but it would improve the labor class. The reason being is, in spite of being to the labor class, when we talk about robotics and automation system, it would create skilled laborers than just a labor. The task that a labor has to do by his own, now he has just to monitor by just skilling up, by having a training of few months, and then monitor around. What is then robotics? prior starting with the robotics, where did this term robot come around from? Robot was known to us years later. It's a Slovak word. It's been taken from the Slovak word robota. Robota means working hard. And then just defining the words robota to robot, the robotics and its development growth. So what is robotics, or maybe what is a robot? A robot is a machine designed to execute one or more tasks automatically with speed and precision. And there can be as many different types of robots as there are tasks for them to perform. Just to have a clear view on what is robotics, I have an AV to share with you. Please allow me a moment so that I could share an AV with you all.
Robots. When we hear the word robot, many of us picture human-like machines made of metal. Although there's some debate on what characteristics define a robot, most scientists agree that a robot is a machine able to automatically perform a task or series of tasks based on its programming and its environment. The idea of the robot isn't new. Ancient Greek, Chinese, Egyptian, and Roman engineers all documented their efforts to build artificial humans and animals. However, the word robot, derived from a term meaning forced labor, wasn't first used until 1921 in a play that told the story of a human-like robot or android. A robot usually is powered by some source of electricity, is programmed by humans to perform a specific set of tasks, and has the ability to respond to its environment. This last point distinguishes robots from ordinary machines. For example, a motion detector is defined as a robot because it can automatically switch on a light when it senses a person walking by. An ordinary computer is not a robot because it depends on humans to tell it what to do and can't sense and respond to the world around it. Although androids are still mostly science fiction, we use other kinds of robots every day, usually to help with tasks too dangerous or too repetitive for humans. We send robots into space to land on distant planets and use them to sweep floors in our homes. Robots assist doctors in surgery, build cars on assembly lines, work in mineral mines, and even teach students.
So we proceed ahead with the types of robots. It's a SCARA, Delta, Cartesian Coordinate, Industrial Robot, Humanoid Robot, Hospitality and Service Robot, and Unmanned Aerial Vehicles. We now first begin with the first robot, that is SCARA. What is SCARA? SCARA stands for Selective Compliance Assembly Robotic Arm, or Selective Compliance Articulated Robotic Arm. These robots are advantageous for transferring parts from one cell to another, for loading and unloading processes that are in an enclosed chamber. Their typical applications include pick and place, multi-assembly clippings, and soldering around. I have a good AV to share with you all about what is SCARA robot and one of its typical application, that is for soldering, wherein I will be demonstrating you with the video wherein it's been soldering the laptop adapters that we use in our daily life. Please give me a moment to share the screen. Now proceed ahead with the next part, that is the Delta robot. Please do not get confused with the last video and the topic of this robot. The company name was Delta, but the robot was Scanner. Here we are talking about Delta robots. So a Delta robot is a type of parallel robot. It consists of three arms connected to an universal joint on the base. The key design of this particular Delta robot is the use of parallelograms in the arms, which maintains the orientation at the end effectors. And Delta robots are very much popular amongst picking and placing in factories, especially in the pharmaceutical sectors, because of its ability to execute the task with some speed of around 300 picks per minute, which is too fast. And pharmaceutical industries, as they need to use the fill the strips with the medicines at the higher range, they have been very much popular amongst them. Apart from pharmaceuticals, it's been used for various other applications as well in the ball bearing industries and whatnot. So let me just share you AV onto the Delta robot. Now proceed to the next segment of robots, that is Cartesian coordinate robots. They are also sometimes known to as linear robots because they move in a straight line rather than to rotate, and they are placed at right angles to each other. The basic designs of such robots are the three sliding joints, which corresponds to the movement, that is up, down, in, out, and back and forth. They are very much advantageous over their mechanical arrangements that allows the robot to have a good degree of freedoms and then good captures of the areas in the work cell area. And when such robots are connected to the horizontal member, which is supported at both ends, they are known to as gantry robots. They have been useful in the furniture industries, mostly the ready-made furnitures that we are now used to use in our day-to-day life are being manufactured with the help of such robots. IKEA uses this. Most of the Chinese products which buy in the in regards to the wooden furnitures are being developed with the help of such robots. Let me quickly share you an AV onto Cartesian coordinate robots. Let us now quickly move ahead with the next segment of robot, that is the industrial robot. So, what is an industrial robot basically? Any robot which could be automatically controlled, reprogrammable, multi-purpose manipulators, programmable in three or more axes, is termed as an industrial robot. The field of robot may be particularly and practically defined as the study, design, and use of robotic systems for manufacturing purposes, for which the typical applications includes welding, painting, assembly, pick and place, palletizing, semiconductor mounting devices, product inspections, testings, all accomplished with high endurance, speed, and precision. When we talk about industrial robots, the last term that we talk about, that is precision, is very much required. And this is not calculated in terms of a single task. When we talk about moving on towards robotic system or an automation, it means mass production. Whenever an industrialist or an entrepreneur thinks over getting their labors into skilled labors and getting their manual work into automated work, it now all depends on the productivity of that particular assembly line. And of course, whenever someone decides to go with the robotic system, they are planning for a mass production with acute repeatabilities at high precision. And the error of the robotic system does not lie anywhere more amount 0.1 to 0.3 mm per second. So this much precise the robotic systems are. When compared to a manual work, wherein we tend to degrade the quality over the period of time, there are various reasons involved behind that. One amongst them is a human being cannot work even 100% during the working hours that is been allocated to them, because it tends to get tired. It requires fueling themselves in between. They require rest and whatnot. Even they requires holiday. They may fall ill and various other reasons. And this is all which affects the productivity of an assembly line and may degrade the quality of the production as well. When compared to an automated system, of course, the cost of investment is too high. And when the cost of investment is too high, the cost of maintenance is equally high. But the task is mass production. And when the production is high, the volumes are high, the sales are high, the cost of investment and the maintenance proves to be just like a peanuts to the entrepreneur. And this is where the FMCGs and most of the automobile industries accumulates and make most of the use of the industrial robots. So all the major giants that you see in the market, let me name it from the big giants in the automobiles, starting from the Mercedes to Porsche to BMWs to Maruti to Tata, to name it, to Volkswagen to Skoda to whatnot. None of the industries make their vehicles manually. All are having lines, assembly lines of robots. They have 6 axis robots, they have 8 axis robots, they have 5 axis robots, all in an assembled line. And their volumes, some if you count around, they produce of around some around 500 to 1000 vehicles a day. And this is not at all achievable if you talk about the manual assembly line. It's only possible because of the robotic assembly line. Of course, you require the manual interventions to operate the robots. But when you talk about robotic system, of course, the production is high, the precision is high, and this is why people go for the industrial robots. Let me quickly share you AV onto industrial robots.
The Universal Robot, also named 3R Robot due to its access, is the most used industrial robot because of its high flexibility. A reason for us to have a closer look at its schematic. Let's have a look at how this SCARA can pick these electronic devices in their boxes with high velocity. What makes this industrial robot so unique? Cartesian or linear robots consists of a manipulator mounted onto an overhead system that allows movement across a horizontal plane. Here, you see a gantry robot handling heavy weights. Due to its axis, this robot is perfect for pick-and-place applications, and this for a large work area. Gantry robots are easier to program with respect to motion because they work with an XYZ coordinate system.
Let us now proceed ahead to the applications of the industrial robot. So these are few applications that has been listed around. Due to time constraints, we may be just going through few of them. So this been used by BMWs, the Mercedes, the soft drink serving robots, the robots as in teacher assistant, the stone sculpting, and in medical fields. So let me quickly share you an AV onto it.
What will medicine look like in the future? The interface between physicians and patients change. Many of us have the vision that robotics will play a role in this future. Innovators from the medical device industry and researchers around the world are working on a vision. This vision is to have access to advanced medical robotic devices that that will improve the outcomes of patients. At KUKA, we are there to accelerate this development. Together, let us define the future role of robotics in medicine.
There is a lot of myth around that robotics are only used for manufacturing industries. But my dear friends, the robotics can be entertaining too. And you may be surprised that they have been used in the entertainment industries to a huge extent. Its typical applications in the entertainment world includes the robot roller coaster ride, which you'll get to see if you go to Germany. Wherein here in India you see helicopters, aeroplanes, wherein you let your kids sit and they may just insert a coin and they may ask you to start that particular ride. Similar type of setups you will see in the amusement park in Germany, wherein they have replaced that seats into a robot roller coaster. You may see the robots uses in the stunt industries, wherein the car stunts have been uh, made possible with the help of these robots, and they have been widely used in the Universal Studios, Los Angeles, Hollywood. One of the example that I would like to give about it is, if you might have all seen the movie Comeback East, wherein Akshay Kumar was just going around in one scene and the cars were flying from his body, was typically shot in this particular location, Universal Studios LA. And with the help of VFX, they have just removed the arm. Followed to the robot playing table tennis with world champion Immobile, and even chamber music and guitars. I will now take you towards the 10 minutes of the most exciting, the most entertaining, and the most relaxing part of this particular session, which may really bring you to the good insights of the use and application of industrial robots, not only for the manufacturing part but for the entertainment industries as well. Hope you like the AVs. Let me quickly share the AVs with you all.
I'll let you know when we are stopped. We're not stopped yet.
Clear on the set.
Now we're stopped. So if you're on the right-hand side.
Let's see the bullet hits. And go. Smoke. Go. Fire. Go. Okay, we're clear. This one's for real, guys, so watch out. And action!
Big round of applause for Carnage and Karma, examples of motion control technology. Take a bow, boys. Oh, that's awesome. You got any other cool moves for us? Once again, big round of applause for Carnage, Karma, and the entire special effects team. Very nice work. Please sit back down if you would now.
Hope these videos may have really led to some good goosebumps and give you a good insights onto the applications and use of industrial robots in the entertainment industry as well. We now proceed ahead with the next segment, that is the humanoid robot. So, what is a humanoid robot? A humanoid robot is a robot with its body shape built to replicate as that of a human being. They may have been designed for personal purposes, interaction like human tools and environments, for experimental purposes. The study of such humanoid robots includes bipeds, locomotions. Let me just quickly share you a good review onto the Boston Dynamics robots, the video which is been trending on major social media platforms. Just give me a moment that I'll be able to share you with that. Now, there are types of humanoid robots. There's Asimo, HPR4, Yugo, self-transforming, and Aldebaran robots. Now, there is a buzz that more the degree of freedom, more flexible the robot is. But to an extent, it is true. But design parameters affects the most more than the degree of freedoms. Asimo has 52 degree of freedoms. You all know Asimo, that was being developed by Honda Japan, been demonstrated at various exhibitions globally. Show on Asimo thus gets played into the Disneyland in US. HPR4 is been developed by China. Again, it has 48 degrees of freedom. Yugo by Korea, having 50 degrees of freedom. Self-transforming robots, they are the robots which can do self-transformations. You may have seen such examples. I would like to name out to the movies Transformers and various other movies which been used for science fictions. You have really seen that off. And finally, we'll come to the Aldebaran robots as the now humanoid robot. Now, why we took around the degrees of freedom? Uh, there's a huge buzz taking around that more the degree of freedom, the more flexible the robot is. But it is not always true. And now is one such exception. It's just 25 degree of freedom, but it has the abilities as equivalent to all the major robots that we just spoke about. And now is the robot that's been used in education industries for research and development globally. It's been used by around more than 7,000 universities globally for their MS programs in robotics. So what's now humanoid robot? It's just 58 centimeter tall with a 25 degree of freedom, which is completely programmable, autonomous, and interactive. used in research and education around the world in prestigious universities and research institutes globally. Talking about the typical hardware of now, it includes four microphones. These are directional microphones, which allows him to recognize the sound from uh, any area. There's two eye LEDs. Please do not focus on its eyes. The LEDs are not in its. Sorry, the cameras are not on its eye. There are LEDs which may develop a sense of emotion to display whether he is angry, whether he is happy, whether he is cool. The cameras are actually what you see at the mouth and on its head. If you can see here, it's this the camera and these are the two cameras. Now why you require two cameras? The problem with the single camera basic systems focuses on the directional part of it which comes in the front of its HPOV. Now horizontal and vertical we get a good 72 degrees of freedoms towards the capturing areas. When you talk about robotic system which is walking around, which has to look around what's the obstacle in the path and to react around to the surrounding. It may happen that a single camera system may not be able to do that precisely because the directions of the heads would have to be moved around to capture the objects again and again, which will indirectly create a jerk in the system which you have developed, which may be a cause of imbalance of robot which no one wants. With the help of dual cameras, you get a clear area, you get a wide angle, and the movement of head movements in regards to capturing of the areas would be typically less. And eventually, the jerks generated due to that would also be optimally less. It also has sonars to capture any of the obstacles coming in front of him so that it could avoid that obstacles. It had foot bumpers installed with the sensors to detect any obstacles which around at the close areas in the ground. Prehensile sensors onto its hand to allow him to walk as good as a human being. And if it by any chance there is an obstacles in the sideways, it would basically able to detect it and change its path. There's a good battery capacity which allows him to run for around 2 to 3 hours with a single charge, and even more based on the typical application what it does. It has a good speakers to output out when you interact with him, and the tactile sensors. It's a part of the robotic system because robots are designed on universal robot laws designed by RUR and Asimov's laws. That means a robotic system should not harm in any case, and in which case, if you misprogram or the robot gets malfunction, there should be something to stop it. And this is where the tactile sensors comes into picture. This is the first part of control wherein anything fails, then you can just go towards the tactile sensors and you could stop the robotic performance. Let me quickly share you a brief AV onto now humanoid robot, which will give you a good insights of what we were just discussing, how flexible the robot is, which is just 25 degrees of freedom. My dear friends, please note that none of the robotic system that we discussed in the list, if they fall, they can wake up on their own. It's the only robot, if it comes to fall, even with less degrees of freedom due to its fascinating design, it could wake on its own. It could do multitude of operations, it could interact, it could recognize objects, and the most amazing part of this robot is it is giving you a platform through its choreograph software to program in almost all the available languages on the earth. Let me quickly share you a brief review on the now humanoid robot.
I know.
Hi, Paul. How are you today?
Fine, thanks. Are you ready to do some work this morning?
Sure. You say you love me. 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 You say
Catch
you
it.
love me. You say you love me. You're easy, my friend.
Come here.
You say you love me. You say you love me. You say you love me.
Try again.
That's not really funny. You say you love me. You say you love
Yeah,
me.
I'm impressed.
It didn't hurt.
Hope the video must have given good insight onto now humanoid robots. Now proceed ahead with the applications of the now. It's used for STEM applications, that is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Yes, my dear friends, it could solve your mathematical problems. It could be used for various other applications, which includes the complexity for the subjects in a fun learning manner. It's been used in medical field. It has performed around 10 successful cesarean sections operations under medical supervisions, expert medical supervisions. We now proceed ahead to the next topic, that is Sandboard Hospitality and Service Robot Platform. Humanoid robots, of course, have their own place, but now there is an increasing demand into the hospitality and service robot platform, wherein now Sandboard is being serving around for that particular regards. So it's been a robot developed by Pihen Technologies. It is used for hospitality, healthcare, education, security, and various other sectors. It's been developed on the AI cloud-based AI platform, wherein you could directly program it through cloud. They have been used in malls, which replaces the human interactions, and they may be programmed at any moment to work for in any area immediately with the help of its cloud enabled programmings to push around to design a program and just to push around in the cloud and updating to change the programs for the performance regards. Speaking about the overview of this particular hardware of these particular robots, it comes with a good 10-inch HD touchscreen, infrared sensors for human interactions, tweeters, subwoofers to give you a good sound capabilities, infrared sensors at the bottom to detect obstacles, 3D cameras for good capturing areas, LEDs, touch sensors, the IR based chargings which you can see at the bottom part, which is making it capable to charge on its own when the battery falls below 30%. Of course, the colorful lights, the charging plugs, the touch sensors, which makes him attractive. The omnidirectional wheels at the bottom, which makes him capable to have multitude of directions while operations and does not limit to its directivities at the time of operations. The charging pile, which it gets connected to when the battery degrades to 30% automatically, which allows him to charge quickly and get back to work once it's fully charged and act like a swarm when it's connected with multiple of robots. Its feature includes, of course, it's really good looking. It's sensitive. It has 60 around 60 sensors built on its body to recognize the human awareness and the obstacles in the surroundings. The 3D dynamic perceptions with the help of the 3D cameras, the HD laser projectors which is installed on its head, which enables him to make any surface into an interactive surface and been used in most many malls in globe for product marketings, which bring USPs to their particular value and brand of the product. The animated waving arms, the touchscreen areas of a 10-inch HD touchscreens, the unlimited movement with the help of omnidirectional wheels. Its typical application includes hotels, banking, industries, enterprises, real estates, museums, exhibitions, and events. Let me quickly share you a brief video on the Sandbot
दरवाजा
hospitality
बंद
and
कर दो.
service robot, which will cover this applications and will give you a good insights onto what it's capable of.
Hi, I'm Sandbot. Let's create our smarter future. I can learn to do anything. I can be your housekeeper. I can be your secretary or your royal bodyguard. You can always trust me to do a good job.
Welcome to our restaurant. What can I do for you, sir?
Excuse me, I'd like to order.
Certainly, sir. Please choose from the menu on my screen.
Whoa! Cool!
Impressive.
I can be your knowledgeable guide in the museum. Have you seen a robot museum guide?
This blue and white porcelain has great pedigree and has been a national treasure of China for hundreds of years.
But I am not always so nice. I know when to be firm.
Sir, you must not touch any exhibits in our museum. Please respect our rules.
Here's my favorite job, being a member of this great family. I love to be the smart home robot to make this house the perfect place to live.
Hi, Sambat.
Hello, Mike. You have 5 important notifications today.
Sambat, thank you for reminding me. Good job. Go, go, go.
We now proceed ahead to the next segment, that is drones, that is unmanned aerial vehicles. Major of the final year projects are now focused on drones, but they are typically developed on whatsoever is available on Flipkarts and the Amazons. The assembled one, which rarely has something new and innovative to show on, and this is where we really ignite to demonstrate towards the capabilities of what drones could be. Drones have been really been used for the autonomous flyings and for GPS enabled drones helping in for the typical applications for search and rescue, surveillance, traffic monitoring, weather monitoring, firefighting, and whatnot. Even during the terrorist attacks in the Taj, the military operations were made possible, and drones had played a vital role to detect the locations and for various surveillance purposes to save the and lifeguard the people who were just inside the Taj. But then, when we talk about the BE final year projects, almost all the drones look similar as every other year, and this is where we thought of exploring the students with the knowledge onto the drones, the one which you see on the screen, that is the most advanced drones which are GPS enabled, and they are palm controls, they have motion sensors and cameras installed onto it. A purpose of which we were being really able to get some few good projects onto drones, one which named as tranquilizers, a drone which was installed with a laser gun and human detections, which can be used at the places where there are borders or the LOCs, wherein if there is an intruder attack, the laser beam would directly shoot onto the crucial part of the intruder, which will make him unconscious and enable the security forces to capture him easily. And various other regards onto the drone developments are in process, and the students always come with some good and exciting projects. So, just to give you a brief onto what the drones capable enough of, I have a good AV onto the DJI Spark drone, which will show you what's the capacity of the drones which could be developed and which is available in the market. Let me quickly share you an AV onto it.
Powerful flying camera that you can take anywhere. It's so clever, it activates by recognizing you. Just launch it from the palm of your hand. And land like this. Easy. Control it with your hands. Using GPS, Spark knows where it is, even if you don't. You think you got smooth moves? Spark's footage is smoother. It takes the shake out of your shot, so you look like a pro. Here's a way to stand out from the crowd. Spark automatically adds shallow depth of field to your photos. Spark keeps you in the frame, so all you need to do is act naturally. Spark your aerial creativity anywhere. All you need to do is seize the moment.
I purposely took the video of DJI Spark. I hope now most of us may have clicked one of the fascinating edge which calls around for mosquito killing machine, which demonstrates this particular drone in their APs. So hopefully most of us may have recognized these drones now. So we now proceed ahead to the next segment, that is Industry 4.0. We'll be quickly winding in the next 5 to 10 minutes. So when we went around from the AI to the robotics to the humanoid to the hospitality and service robot to the unmanned aerial vehicles. So now what is Industry 4.0 then? This is a term which is very much famous in the manufacturing industries. Recently, Industry 4.0 has been very much been in the talks, but it all developed from 1784 during Industry 1.0, which made use of mechanization, steam power, weaving looms. In 1870s, it progressed towards Industry 2.0, having mass productions, assembly lines, electrical energies. In 1969, it moved towards Industry 3.0, which was with the help of automations, computers, and electronics. And we are talking today about Industry 4.0, which includes cyber physical systems, Internet of Things, and networks. Yes, my dear friend, Industry 4.0 is nothing but the combination of several major innovations into one digital technology. Industry 4.0 is focused on smart devices, turning into smart products, turning into smart factories. And this is not possible unless you do not have an interconnection between the robotic factory capacity lines. A typical example includes you develop an factory capacity which you may not be able to operate it remotely when it does not have that capacity. Industry 4.0 focuses to control everything remotely with the help of sensors, Internet of Things, huge network systems, of course, with security, with the involvement of cyber physical systems in the mediations to enable the synchronization for the remote operations. And Industry 4.0 is progressively growing even in India, and maybe in the coming days you may be able to see more of the factories which have adopted Industry 4.0, which are capable enough to do FMS. Now, FMS is the term known to as flexible manufacturing systems, because, my dear friends, every 2 to 3 years there is a new technology, and you need to adopt that technologies, and you need to modify your factory capacity lines in accordance to the need of that particular requirement. And FMS makes it possible to adapt it. And Industry 4.0 is all FMS series, and is the future of the industrial automation sectors for the manufacturing industries. I went good AV on to the industrial automation, Industry 4.0. Let me quickly share with you all. So I hope you have gotten good insight on the Industry 4.0. Typical examples includes the Mahindra and Mahindras, which use this Industry 4.0 for their factory capacities for manufacturing lines for their commercial vehicles, wherein they use simulations, horizontal and vertical system integrations, IoTs, ARs. My dear friends, augmented realities are now growing. Instead of manual interventions of teaching a new employee, now the industries are ready with the adoptions of AR technologies, wherein they just need to buy a lens and install a software and program for what they want to teach them, and the person can easily wear that lens. They can just focus onto one object, and accordingly they'll be guided enough for the regards of what that object is, and guide through the operabilities and possibilities of getting systems and whatnot, which has been now been taken and implemented by Mahindra and Mahindra to teach their newly employed skilled laborers to build an engine with the help of AI. And this all adds on to the additive manufacturing, cloud computing, and autonomous systems, which is all a part of Industry 4.0. And that is all from my end. I hope I was been able to give you good insights onto today's topic, and I really thank each one of you for your patience, listening, and attention. The house is now open for question and answers. Thank you all for your patience and attentions. If you have any questions, please let me know. I would be glad to address.
Thank you very much, sir, for introducing such a innovative technology. It was really wonderful session. In chat box, there is a question from Pooja Gupta. She is asking which programming language is used in this type of robots. Please, sir.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Pooja. Basically, when we talk about the programming languages, there are various programming languages available. But now the problem is when you talk about company-specific programming languages, because each one of has their own embedded language. The robot operating systems is an open platform, but now when you go for a typical product, most of them come with the embedded languages which you have to learn based on what product you are purchasing, for what application it is being purchased, what is being implemented. The ROS is the one which is typically being used at the basic premier rates for industrial robots. Of course, C, C++, and various other programming languages are famous for humanoid and hospitality robot platforms. And they are not limited to, because when we talk about the programming field, it's the human capacities, how to intervene with the machines, and again subject to, it is not limited by the manufacturers to program onto that particular machines. Hope I was able to address your question.
There is a raise hand from Rakesh Sen. You can ask to the experts. Rakesh Sen.
Yes, Rakesh, please ask your question. Rakesh, are you
Participants,
there with us?
hello. Participant, if you have any question, raise hand, unmute mic and ask to the expert. Otherwise, we proceed further. No question. Now I request our principal ma'am to proceed further for vote of thanks. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, Dharmendra ji. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Bhavin, for enlightening us. We are grateful for the time and the effort you took to share your thoughts and experiences with us. I would like to thank on the behalf of Raj Engineering College as well as personally thank you for knowledge sharing with us. Also, I would like to thanks to all the participants presented in the webinar. A special thanks to coordinators Dharmendra ji, Leeladhar ji, Dinesh ji, and Sandeep ji, and whole team of Ranj Engineering College. With this, we officially closes the webinar. All the participants who attended the webinar will get the e-certificate within 7 days. Have a nice day to all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Swati Sharma, Madam, Professor Dharmendra Sir, and all the organizers for giving me an opportunity to deliver the session on this webinar on robotics and industrial automation. Thank you, all the participants, for attending. Wish you all a magnificent day ahead.
Thank you, sir.